Started recording. Next session is note taking. T-16. Now our main objectives on this is to hopefully be able to explain the role of note taking when reading and resolving tickets. List the principles of effective note taking and documenting our tickets. Document our tickets. Can't stress that enough. Don't understand how many people have either been fired and or written up because they're not documenting their tickets correctly. Evaluate samples of notes to determine how to improve the notes based on the criteria for success. Write effective notes and documentations that capture a summary of the problem, not a history book report. The likely cause of the problem and its solution. Obviously, effective notes include key facts about the case, as well as clear description of the actions, all the follow-up actions, no matter how necessary you think it is. Even saying that you called and you sent the email to the user because you no response, guess what? I'm doing that. I had created my own system that would create the email and everything. It would inject all the tickets. And that way, whatever I emailed the user or whatever I was saying to the user, I would still email them what I said. Copy and paste right into the ticketing system. No doubts. It says even the time it got to them. So what's a good note taker have? Jordan, what do you think? What's a good note taker have?
Good note taker would usually probably be able to separate his notes into very specific sections just to make it easier to read or come back to. That's one thing. Organization.
Good organization of the information that they're putting in there, right? No run-on sentences or just babbling of not misinformation, of just unnecessary information. We want to make sure we're clear and concise. And let's see, who else can I pick on here? Anybody else have feedback on good note taker may have?
Being precise and to the point.
Yeah.
Don't use slang.
Definitely. All right. It's the majority of us here. Okay, I'm gonna read this one out here. Tell me if it's good, and if it is not, what you think is wrong with this statement here. Every time she tries to open Adobe, she gets an error. She cannot do the until she is. Obviously, I know what they mean, but is there anything that you want to fix here?
That's slang. Go.
What if the abbreviations work for the person that's taking the notes?
For who? For who?
Not professional then.
Remember, this is not only for the user to read. This is going to be your boss's reading, and your boss's boss is going to be reading. And or if they have somebody like me, which was the portfolio manager, I had to basically create a system that reads everything. So if I see stuff that has this, you're going to get written up. You can't. Okay. One, look at another thing. What's wrong with this? No, just grammar is horrible.
There's no punctuation.
No punctuation. Every time is not even capitalized. I mean, they're not even trying. And that's just that. What was it that we learned that should be here that is not? From the last session we just had. What's very important?
She had like the client information.
Do I know who she is?
No.
Do I know what time or date you called her?
No.
No, right? I have no idea. It just says she. That may could be doing any week on or do any work. I'm not sure. It's all up to it. In RSD, anybody know besides some other combination of SD? I'm not sure what RSD is. So here goes note 2. You got February 8th, 2016, 2:34 p.m. Clara Jones. Each time Ms. Jones tries to open Adobe Reader, she receives an application error. The issue is preventing her from completing her work. We agreed that the help desk will remote into her computer at 5:30 p.m. this evening to investigate the issue. Is that a little bit better?
It's a little better, but she can like kind of like move some stuff like the dates to the right maybe, and then kind of space.
Well, it's just a note, but in reference to information. Format right now we can't look at because it's just the information. Usually,
Oh yeah. She's good with the info. I mean,
What about
the
contact
last example.
information?
Hmm?
What about contact information?
This is the note in the ticket.
I don't know how to do this shit. Like,
This is the note in the ticket or the work log. You guys remember that section of a ticket?
Yeah,
This is
got
the
it.
work log.
In the work log, you have to put time and date if the system doesn't give you that option.
Yes, you must put it if the system doesn't give you an automatic tracking of time and date. Matter of fact, let me rephrase that. I don't care what time and date the system says. I always put the time and date. Why? Because the time and date that the system is putting is the time and date that I entered into the system, which is not the time and date that I did it. If I'm working on a work log, usually it's not the time. I'm not documenting while I'm fixing it, right? It's going to be the last step of troubleshooting where I document everything, and or when I'm doing the step, as we said, that I'm testing maybe. So a lot of the times it's not accurate, the time of when it happened. So I would recommend, that's why usually I put it in my email of what I did and when I did it, but there's no doubts. If you notice, she also put what time we're going to call him back. Right? Sorry about that. Was attacked by a cat.
Shouldn't it have the
I'll get you
name?
next time. Don't worry about it, buddy. I'll get you next time.
Shouldn't it have the name of the person who's
Yeah.
receiving?
Clara Jones. Oh no, who the person that's receiving? No, but this is my note. This is not. This is the note area only. Let's not concentrate on the whole ticket. This is only the note. So,
Okay.
so the ticket's assigned to me. Everything's on me. It's just my note that I'm writing in there, or whoever it is that's writing the note in there.
invoices.
Makes sense. Any questions on the variance between slide 5 or 6? They're both saying the same thing, but do I get a clearer picture on the second one? The second one much clearer, right? And I even know what time, if someone else is looking at this ticket and is in the afternoon and I'm already gone, they know what time we were going to call back. In the previous slide, I didn't even bother to tell them what time we were going to contact the client. Any questions, doubts? All right, next slide. So, as we saw in note 1, is completely not only problems with grammar, it's got slang, it's got typos, and it doesn't give us a clear picture. We all agree?
Yeah.
So this is something that we need to think about whenever we are working on tickets. I know that it is frustrating when you have so many, but we have to be as detailed as possible. I understand you know exactly what you have done, but just imagine if your boss's boss read note 1 and maybe at the end it said done. At the end, all you did was just put all of that and just the word done. Doesn't look professional, right? It also doesn't help us because most of these ticketing systems are used to track related issues and related fixes. So now, how can I use whatever you did and whatever workaround that you with the word done. Does that tell me what you did? No. So we have to be obviously careful in our summaries, that our summaries have the next slide, please. The 8 criteria of effectiveness. We should record the client's full name. Record the date and time you spoke with the client. Use standard English and correct grammar. Be concise. Include important details about the case, but obviously not the whole, I don't know what you want to call it, bibliography of the situation. We want a summary that's detailed enough. Note any circumstances that make this ticket urgent. What can make a ticket all of a sudden urgent? We learned one of those. So it came in as a 7 days, I can fix this. What can all of a sudden make a hardware ticket urgent?
Credit card system's down, and for that place, like a restaurant, that is critical.
Okay, anything else?
The actual hardware warranty.
Right, that would make it very, very urgent. Although they could wait, but obviously the manufacturer ain't gonna wait. Talking about bad grammar and slang. Record. What was the next one we had here? Anybody want to help me out here? Include important details. That's where we were. Note any circumstances. Record any unsuccessful actions and attempts. Make sure that if you tried something and it failed, that's that little cycle between 2, 3, and 4. We all agree, right? So I went to 2, 3, 4, boom. Came back to 2, 3, 4. I should be noting those. That's what they're talking about. Unsuccessful attempts. Part of your troubleshooting, right? Everybody agree with that? I got a hypothesis before I say hypotenuse triangle again. Then I go and test my theory before I can confirm it, before it goes right back to that cycle. If it's not confirmed, it comes right back to trying to create another one, right? Record specific actions the IT professional or client plans to take at a timeline. So if I'm not able to fix it now, when am I going to talk to you again? When am I going to reach out to you again? What is it that I'm going to do and where? How am I going to help you? You'll be surprised how many people say I was unable to talk to the user or call a user. I left them a voicemail. Is that good enough?
Nope.
You just called them. You left a voicemail. About what? What was the voicemail about? Yes, you might have detailed everything in the voicemail. You might even said exactly what time. You're not noting it in a ticket, so it didn't happen. Questions or doubts on slide 8? Woohoo! Now let's practice a little bit of our own note taking. So, to be successful as IT professionals, we must learn the fundamentals of note taking. This is one of the criterias that can basically make or break you. What do you think is the purpose of note taking when you're tackling tickets?
To come up with patterns so you
It's just
can
that.
do like the same problem like faster than next time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. To keep track of patterns or issues or patterns of resolutions. I agree. Yeah.
If you have like multiple people working on like the same thing, they could read your notes so they don't do the same thing you did.
Teammates, you can collaborate with your teammates and supervisors with ease without having to even talk to them, right? Because it's in there. Prego. I used to tell them. Anybody know who Prego is?
No.
People only like ragu. You're so picky.
Oh,
Prego, it's in there. It's in there. You never seen that commercial? You guys are gonna learn so much from me, but hopefully some part of it is computers. All right, let's take out the handouts, please. Start taking out the handouts there. You guys have that handy?
It's the chart, right?
That is correct. I'll bring back slide 8 for you. So, anybody want to help us out here? Number 1. Try to do this one together if you guys like, or you want to go into your breakout rooms. Which would you prefer?
We can do it here.
Okay. Cool. So what's number 1 in our little table here?
Recording the client's full name.
Okay. Why does it matter? Really? Nobody knows?
We gotta know information about the client. If we
Gotta
have
know
to
who it
reach
is,
back
right?
to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you need to know who it is.
Face to your issue.
Because see, if I say she, and I called and somebody else answered the phone, right? But I called her line and I put in there she, and I assume that everybody knows who this she is. There's a problem. She says that she's not there and she'll be back tomorrow. Confusing, right? I'm talking
Yes.
about two she's, but I'm not identifying it to you. So that's very critical. Client's full name or who you are speaking with. Be their boss, maybe, whoever it is. So why is it important? Obviously, so we can identify exactly who we're speaking to or actually dealing with. We want to make sure that it is no doubt that who it is. Any other reason why it's important?
From a customer service standpoint, it's just some people like to be referred to as by their name.
Okay, yeah.
Rather than
Like
Or
more
last
personable.
name.
Exactly.
I'm getting some PTSD with naming. People are very picky about how they're named.
Yeah, it's gone different because it used to be that depending what country you went to, I don't know if you guys knew that one, they'll change your name. Or Christopher Columbus. Anybody knows what's Christopher Columbus' real name? Another useless tidbit, yes. Nobody.
Mm.
Anybody know where he's originally from?
He's Italian.
Tutti, yes. His name is Cristoforo Colombo. That's his real name is. If you go to Spain, they call him Cristobal Colon, and if you come here to the United States, they call him Christopher Columbus. Nowadays, everybody's all picky. You gotta call me by my real name. Gotta enunciate it, please. We're picky nowadays. I'm telling you, it's just sad. Number 2, record time and date. Why, where, and when? Why should I record time and date of who I spoke with? Why did we say? Why is it important to put it in that?
To keep track of clients.
The time and date. The time and date of when I spoke to them. Why would I put that instead of just using the timestamp that the ticketing system is giving me?
Just in case if the timestamp is like, you can't see it or it gets lost somewhere. It's better to have a second copy.
The timestamp we agreed was when I'm entering it in the ticket, which 9 out of 10 times is usually not the same time that I am talking to the user. So the date and time in your note is just saying exactly the date and time you spoke to the user. I know a lot of people who are dispatch techs, they're not able to update their tickets until the end of the day. So therefore, if I update 6 tickets at the end of the day, in less than, and it's giving you the timestamp around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, that's not the time that I spoke to the user. That's not the time that I worked on it. Make sense?
Yeah.
I know it's annoying, but this is unfortunately the reality of this thing. If we want to be good at it, we want to shine as a customer service agent in the help desk, these are criteria that they're looking for in these tickets. Number 3, using standard English. No picky English Milos. Why would that be important?
You're
wanna
dealing
have,
with.
oh, you want to go?
Oh, you
or-
can go. You can go. Yo, Carlos, you're more enthusiastic about it. Go ahead.
What does that even mean? You want to have thorough communication with a customer. You don't want to use any slangs or jargon like that, because they're not going to know what you're talking about. You want to have the most possible concise answer or communication.
You don't want to leave it up to interpretation. Exactly it. Might make sure that sometimes these, depending where you're at, sometimes these letter combinations that we're using may mean something else to somebody else, right? And then they'll read it a different way, or they'll, worse, won't even know what you're talking about. They might not even understand what those slang or abbreviations are. So we need to keep it obviously clear and concise, yeah. So number 5, kind of mentioned both of them together, 3 and 4. Being concise is obviously being direct, making sure they understand fully of what is being done. That's exactly the reason why. Now, why should I include important details about the case and try to summarize the important details about the case and not just babble on about nothing? Why is it
You want to
important?
make sure you just have the facts, no opinions, and make it short but simple, and it doesn't lose the critical information needed.
Exactly. As we stated, a lot of these things are being read by several individuals, be the user themselves or management. We want to be as detailed as possible about the case, but without any cutting corners. We just don't want to babble, but we don't want to cut stuff out that's necessary. Which brings us to the next one, obviously, is to note any circumstances that make the ticket urgent. Why would I need to look at that? We said earlier, it might be the warranty, or it might be that the device itself is urgent to them. Although for the company, that device or that type of ticket might have been opened as a non-high severity, but if in our speaking with them and our determination, if we're allowed or we have the rules to be able to do it because we've noticed that it is an urgent ticket, then obviously we're going to bump them up. We got to bump the priority, make sure that it gets jumped on as quickly as possible before it does create a problem with service level agreement. Everybody know what service level agreement is?
Yes.
Service level agreement, because I see everybody like almost about to kill me, is the amount of time that you agree, depending on the severity of a case, that is acceptable time. Some companies are paying for these help desk services. So then if you go beyond the service level agreement, we charge you back. So you're charging me for service, but now you have gone over. Now I get a discount because you went over. Now you owe me money. We're not able to provide the service as agreed upon. Next one, number 7. We want to obviously record any unsuccessful actions as we stated. We want to document everything we're doing, because if we just document what did fix it, it's not going to justify the times of every time you touch that ticket. We should have been documented every time we tried something, because that's part of our troubleshooting, right? Which was that cycle of 2, 3, and 4 that we said earlier. We establish a theory, test the theory, confirm, if not go back to where you were, right? Almost looks like chutes and ladders. And the last one is record actions IT professional or client plans to take and timeline. So if I can't fix it now, or I'm planning to come back, or I'm ordering a part, is about to arrive, whatever it is, the next steps that coming up, make sure I'm noting it in the ticket when and where I'm going to be touching that ticket again. And most likely, again, a timestamp saying, hey, this such date at this time, I'll be reaching out to the user, sorry, or I'll be checking on the status of the shipment of it, whatever it is that you're doing. Any questions or doubts? All right. The next one's here is the We stated already. I think didn't we just say that right now? We just stated that. Why is it coming out again? Came out twice. I guess it was helpful. What is the difference between note taking and documenting? Come on, guys. No?
Note taking is probably like jotting down like everything that if you like you've heard from the conversation, and documenting is like finalizing it all, making sure it's all together.
Note taking would be like any important information for you and your coworkers or whoever, while documenting would be a more professional kind of jotted down list of everything that's happened during your time on the ticket.
Okay. Any other analyses or things? Nothing? Anyone? So, what could go well with note taking overall? And what can go real bad or difficult? What's the easiest thing that we think can go easy on note taking?
Make it simple, but to the point with all the critical information.
What's the most difficult thing though about note taking? You say is the most difficult part of note taking?
I would say maybe having also very good listening skills.
To be able to document everything correctly, right? Is that what you're saying?
Like listening skills.
Correct. Your listening skills to the client to be able to document what you're going to put into the ticket itself. That would be the difficult part, is what you're trying to tell me, or but we're talking about note taking per se, as for in the ticket itself. What would be the difficult part about it? I would say as being as detailed as much, right? But without cluttering it, right? Sometimes people put too much information in there. Like Lázaro said, the user like what Pablo just said, the user is probably telling me a whole bunch of information. That's where I need to be able to try to summarize as detailed as possible. That makes it a little bit harder trying to make sure that I don't filter out any unnecessary information. Okay. Bing, according to the guy next to me. So how is the habit connected to effective note-taking? What type of habit can you have if, for instance, I'll give you an example. Most IT professionals, when they compile code or doing stuff like that, they categorize the issues and the way they're working to solve them as quickly as possible. So you try to categorize them, make sure that they know what type of level of urgency, what type of habit can you have that can help us effectively take notes in this. You're trying to compile the information and categorize the issues. One of the things would be what? Noticing maybe trends, right? Using keywords, maybe that I could probably search up. As I said, some of these systems have templates. I could probably use keywords to look it up into the system where it's going to open up a ticket for me with using those keywords to create something that's in there, right? How can future orientation help us in this? How can it help us in getting a good habit of good note taking? Anyone? Well, obviously, their notes and or their colleagues' notes, right, is a source of knowledge and information that we can look back to. And that's why we use these things. And the more we get used to this, we can actually look it up again, part of that system where it lets us look up stuff in there. And the more we get used to it and the more we repeat ourselves, we'll obviously be ready. If we don't document correctly, then it's going to get lost. If I go and search for a ticket, I find that Jordan put a ticket in there, but he didn't document in detail. And he had 5 tickets last week, and so did Pablo, and all I got is done. That's all I have. Everybody had the same exact issue, but then I got the word done. It's not going to help us, right? In the future, lessons learned is another thing that's very good about this, is sometimes we have lessons learned, things that we don't need to repeat and try again and fail on. We can obviously use it to learn from those mistakes that other people have and obviously hopefully come up with a faster and more better solution. Any questions, doubts? Okay, I think we're almost finished here with this. So, practicing documenting scenarios. So, did you guys get this? I don't know. You guys don't have that in there, right? You don't have a scenario on your thing?
No.
No.
Is it the handout? Because the handout has 2 scenarios.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it does.
All right.
Pages.
Go into the handout, please. Let's go and look at the 2 scenarios.
They're both similar, except the end there's some differences.
There's one, I think, is that true that it starts with 3, 4, 16 or something like that? You open a ticket?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mary Lewis
Yeah.
or Miss Lewis.
Yeah, Missy Lewis. Okay. All right. So we're both in the same place. So try to basically document and look at these 2. I'll open up your rooms now this time. And we're going to document and see if we can actually answer those questions. Any questions or doubts on it?
Ready.
We're good.
Okay. I'm opening up the welcome back, Cotter. Welcome back. Okay, guys. So how did it go? Were you able to decipher and or fix? What could we have done with the first one, Team A?
For team 1, for number 1, what we can do is document that for her email signature, we just had to find the correct file. And then we should have put in information the following. The user had issue with the path finding for her signature. We have found the path signature. We should put it there in the ticket where the path is in case it happens again. And we put a note that it has been resolved. And the user is okay with it too.
Mm-hmm. So it's got the time, right? No. It's got a date, but no time. Do we agree? I don't know what time, but otherwise everything else sounded pretty good there. There was Miss Ellie pretty much reported that her email signature, I think you guys said was the email signature was the one that's showing Los Angeles instead of Miami. And obviously, I think that's it. I think the only major change there I think they had was obviously a little bit restructuring and the time. She didn't have a time in there when she really, or he. Thank you. Team 2, breakout team 2, number 2.
There weren't any usage of time. It was just the date. The notes are pretty vague if you ask me. We don't know exactly what the issue with the update was. So it's just like really vague, you know, you don't really get too much out of it.
doesn't really tell you anything, right?
No, it's just like
to say how he solved the issue.
It's just too vague. It's not even helpful at all, really. Right? It could be a wide range of things. I can't really, it doesn't tell us anything. So what was the second question? What should your teammate do to improve this documentation?
needs to use way more details, like the time, what exactly the problem
More
was,
specific, right?
yeah, like how you fixed the problem after you found it out.
Yeah. So as we saw earlier, before we conclude, we saw the two different flavors. I want to make sure we notice this on slide 8 is the effectiveness of note-taking. Very, very, very close to the effectiveness of documenting, which is in slide 10. All right? That's the only difference, but they're all being, if we notice, start off pretty much the same. Right? 1 through 4. Any questions or doubts? Well, that's about it, guys. I'll see you guys then at 1:01 p.m. 1:01.